Thank you, Lily. Thank you again, everyone. Lily couldn't have said it better. Thank you for all of your patience and being here. Thank you to Oscar de la Tienda for hosting us for our second Bike Story Night San Antonio. Bike Story Night is a culmination of several things that I love that I came up with. This idea during the pandemic when I finally had time as an event organizer for nonprofits and other organizations to sort of take time for myself that I really needed because we weren't doing events. But of course I came up with an event, and it was like, this is like my turn. Like, I want to do an event that I completely put together. So thank you for riding bikes. Thank you for learning about other people, wanting to learn about other people, and most importantly, just sharing our connection through bikes. And yeah, just being here. There's seats in the front. These are okay. I can't thank all of the people who helped. Lily, thank you so much. Lily said it, and I won't go on much longer. We'll get the story started, but I have to say thank you to all of the people who donated prizes, shared, bought early bird tickets, and came tonight. So I'm really excited for you. How many of you came to the last Bike Story Night San Antonio? Okay. How many of you had heard about it but hadn't been? Maybe a few people. Oh, what? You hadn't heard of that. Okay, sweet. Awesome. Okay, well, welcome. We have several stories lined up for you, but one of the things I love about this event is featuring a bike-related nonprofit so that you all can learn more about your community this way as well. I know there's several awesome bike nonprofits in town, but this time we decided to go with Activate SA. So I'm super excited to introduce you. But also just really quick shout out to Jordan, my co-producer, partner in crime, who's often behind the curtain, essentially. But yeah, let's get this show on the road and welcome our first presenter from Activate SA, Joey Pollock. I hope I said that right.
Thank you so much, Mallory, and great to see you all. So once again, my name is Joey Pavlik, the Executive Director of Activate SA. I think I've gotten to know quite a few of y'all, but I haven't met you yet. It's nice to meet y'all tonight. I'm working with Activate SA. We're a nonprofit that focuses on finding those connections in our community to help us all get around. So first of all, who's a cyclist in this room? Yeah, I think almost everybody. Also, who's a pedestrian? I was to say, hopefully everybody raises their hand because that's another element that we advocate for. Is finding those connections and safe and comfortable connections and advocating for those connections for people who are on foot or on bike, rolling around in wheelchairs, rolling around on bikes, and all the above. And not just, slapping a sidewalk next to the street or slapping a bike lane next to the street. How can we make it more comfortable for you to get around? I know a lot of y'all bike around in bike groups and all the above, but what about for those people who are biking around because they have to? They're biking around the areas where there's lots of dogs roaming around, there's a bunch of stuff on the street preventing you from getting around safely, or walking, biking, there's no trees in the street. Texas, y'all know how hot it is? We need some more trees in our streets to make it cooler and also make it more environmentally friendly. So those are some of the things we're doing. A little bit about myself. So I'm a native San Antonian and grew up on the east side of San Antonio. I was fortunate enough to sometimes be able to I was fortunate enough to bike and walk to school sometimes growing up. I was also one of those, I guess, maybe bad Catholic kids who was dreaming in church about why couldn't I walk or bike to church easier. I was too busy daydreaming about that instead of paying attention to church. So maybe that's how I got here possibly. But fast forward to this day, have a little background in transportation planning, fell into urban planning during college and started working towards this, even doing some constituent advocacy work, working for state reps. And so trying to understand those points of policy and how to make things possible and how to actually put the rubber to the road and make these things happen. And so again, it's more than just those bike lanes and sidewalks. We're advocating for the connected, equitable, resilient, and safer communities to get around in. We know that oftentimes many of our minority and or low-income communities, that's where oftentimes the most crashes, deadly or serious injury crashes happen the most, disproportionately. So how can we fix those and right those wrongs and help people get around even more safely? And how do we do this? We work a lot with folks like yourselves. We see the data already. There's lots of data to show where people are getting hit or killed or where people are biking already. And how can we make that happen? some of those four elements, our organization was founded in 2019 by a bunch of folks who are like architects, planners, engineers, community advocates, and more. And putting that paper and taking it to city officials and making that happen. So focusing on that consensus building, not just agitating. Of course, we'll make some noise, especially during the bond. I know a lot of y'all might have been there during the bond process, fighting for, advocating for our Greenway Trails, our amazing Greenway Trail system. That's one thing that we've been doing really great on in San Antonio, and over 100 miles plus. So kudos to San Antonio for that. But that's our ring in the system. We need to find those folks in our system to help us get connected, move from those trails, get around to go to and from our houses, go to school, go to the grocery store, and also focusing on folks. Folks in our community who are most vulnerable road users, such as our children, our elderly, helping kids get to school safer. I know a couple of folks in this room, like Earn a Bike, just saw doing that. The Lord's work with working with our children to help them feel more comfortable on our streets, getting those skills ready. But how can we actually make that infrastructure safer for them? So that's one of the things we're fighting for and presenting to the city. You see the bond process advocating for that, our bond map up here, all the projects we're pushing for to find those connections. And there were some of the elements that had a couple more photos I want to add in there too, but we're also advocating for things like complete streets. We've got some policies in the books with the city. We're working on things like a new bike network plan. If you haven't already given your input to the city, you need to do that already. Please do that. But also, there's things like our complete streets plan. What is that? It's a plan or policy that helps people and plans for people of all modes, people walking, people biking, people in cars. But that policy is from 2011. And we need to update that to focus on people like vulnerable road users, our cyclists, our pedestrians, people in wheelchairs, and more. So that's one of the things we're working on right now, building a community coalition. If you'd like to get involved, let me know. We had our first meeting last month. We're not finished getting folks signed on. By the end of this, we'd like to see in June 2024, get the city to adopt a new complete streets policy and to make it safer, put those guidelines in place for our government officials to help make this possible. And so again, focusing on elements of advocacy and also community engagement. We've been kind of really technical focused, but trying to find those community engagement elements, working with the community, showing what's possible. Growing up in San Antonio too, I rode my bike down the streets, didn't have bike lanes, grew up with a really bad street, didn't have sidewalks at all in high school, and made it just messing around on the end of my street, like some construction sites and stuff. I didn't know what was possible. I know that's still probably the case for a lot of San Antonians. If you're fortunate enough to maybe travel, you see the world, what's going on, but how can we bring that to people? Whether it's through pop-up projects, going to different sides of the community and showing, okay, maybe you can take the street, add some colors to it, shorten the width of a street to make it easier for pedestrians and cyclists to cross the streets, or even help us feel more comfortable on the streets. And so all those different things. And let's kind of push through some more slides. Okay. Anyway, so we'd love to see work with y'all, get active, and activate our community through advocacy, signing up and going out and doing the good work of showing up at those meetings. How can we help y'all? We're working on some of those elements of. I worked in different levels of government. I know how complicated it can be, whether it's city governments, state governments, the county. I used to work for an MPO. Who knows what MPO is? Maybe a few folks, but it's I used to work for MPO, a Metropolitan Planning Organization. That's another weird layer of government that we also need to understand, because millions of dollars get spent there on projects in our area. So one of my concerns and interests is how can we arm y'all to be able to go out and fight for these things. So to help you take this knowledge and pass it on, say, this is what matters to me. And you do the storytelling too. Talk about why it matters to you so much to get around. Say, hey, when I have children, or maybe my children are ready, they want to get to school safely. You don't want to have to worry about them getting hit and killed and going to school or going to the grocery store more. So get active, do all that. If you can, maybe donate to our organization. We're trying to grow and work on all these different elements. Sign up for our newsletters. Join one of our coalitions, like the Complete Streets Coalition. We're working on doing more. And maybe working with our local nonprofits to build that coalition here locally. And we've talked about doing like a bike coalition and more. There's tons of folks here in this room, and getting those folks together is going to be key to making a big difference in our community. For walkability, bikeability, and of course, one of my things is if we make it safer for people who are on bikes and foot, we're also going to make it safer for drivers. So overall, we can all get around safely. And with that, yeah, thank you all for being here, because y'all are also doing the work by being out there and biking, walking, all the above. You're showing that it's possible even when it's a risk. So thank you all for your work, putting the rubber to the pavement, putting your feet out there and showing that, hey, we're out here, because that matters a lot. And we're also not just a statistic. So thank you all very much, and look forward to seeing you all out there in the community.
All right, let's hear it for Joey one more time. Activate SA is the most professional and organized nonprofit I've ever seen in San Antonio. I'm super excited about them. And I'm super excited about introducing our next two guests. If you're in the cycling community, most of you are in the cycling community, I hope you're making friends with people, because these two individuals coming up next are actually family of mine. They're legit family. Erica, Michelle, come on up.
Thank you. Howdy, y'all. Good to see some regular faces, some normal. I don't know what we're doing there.
Yeah.
I'm not in the way. Okay, are we in the way? Can you all see that?
All right, so we've got a little bit of a notes, because we are note takers. We are prepared people. All right. So what does it mean to be a Chingona? We get this question frequently, as Chingona is part of our business name. The word Chingona used to have a derogatory meaning, something kind of like a difficult woman, someone who is hard-headed and did what she wanted, and nothing could stand in her way. But these Chingonas are nothing without our community allies.
In 2011, I was so proud to buy my very first adult bike. I went down to Academy, I know, but I went down to Academy, got the bike that I thought, like, this is it, this is my bike. It was heavy, I didn't know any better. It probably wasn't the right size, but I loved her. Her name was Bertha. She took me on adventures all over San Antonio, but I was a horrible cyclist. I may or may not have gone against traffic on Vance Jackson. I didn't know any better. I may or may not have been wearing a helmet. I don't remember. I don't think I was. So, needless to say, I outgrew her, and just like any kind of toxic relationship, I had to let her go. And I realized that one of my coworkers, his wife was an avid cyclist, and she had upgraded her bike, and I thought, perfect, I can jump on this bike, I'm good. Well, this new to me Trek bike, I loved it, it was great, and Todd said, yeah, you can have it, like, here's the price, perfect. Well, I was a little nervous, but Todd was great. He showed me the bike, said, I'm selling it for this amount, this is it. And, you know, Todd could have been the guy that tells you, no, I don't know if you're ready for a real bike, or I don't know if you're ready for a real road bike, but he wasn't. He could have asked a gazillion dollars for it, but he didn't. He gave it to me at a reasonable price. So that was my love, Betty. My Betty took me everywhere. I moved to Chicago, and she took me all around Chicago, and I loved her. When I came back to San Antonio, I didn't really ride her, but at a volleyball game, actually, somebody told me about a Tuesday night, I think it was like San Antonio Tuesday night bike social club, super long name. They told me about this Tuesday night ride. So I went out there and I fell in love with social cycling.
So in the summer of 2015, Erica and I met on a Tuesday night ride. I started cycling in about 2013 when I met my boyfriend, Mike. You had to wait for a pause As y'all know, he's a bike mechanic. So at that point, I knew absolutely nothing about bikes. I still really don't even know a lot about bikes, to be honest. But I did have a goal of a triathlon. I knew I wanted to do one. It's been on my to-do list for like forever. I was gonna get it done, and especially with Mike's help. He was my first bike ally. He helped me pick out the bike. It was a beautiful pink Janus. He found it off of Craigslist, and he was so excited to help me reach my goal. I named my Janus Belle. and she took me on some super wild adventures. I can get lost in a closet, and if y'all know me, I'm super directionally challenged. So Mike was really kind of apprehensive to let me go on my adventures. My adventures meaning me just going out and getting lost. I took the trails, I rode downtown, on the streets, and being a young solo female out riding alone by myself, I was subjected to catcalls. I would be followed by men, I would be chased down by men. So coming from a running background, I knew the dangers of going out and doing stuff by myself, but I was not going to let anything happen. Like, I was not going to let anything stop me. So one evening, Mike took me on my first social ride, the Tuesday night bike ride, SAT&BC, now SATX social ride. I was a little bit hesitant. I'd done group runs before, but I was really not into it. I would never felt comfortable. I never felt welcome to any of the group stuff before. Even despite I had done multiple run things, organized run things since I was a kid. I was still new at riding. My handling skills were not great at all. But that evening, we met the group ride leader, Jeff Moore. Jeff welcomed us and invited us back the next Tuesday. And then from that evening in about 2014, each Tuesday from then on has been reserved for bike riding.
So Jeff Lynn Moore, that's his middle name if y'all didn't know. I love calling him. Jeffrey Lynn Moore has been a great mentor, pushing us out of our comfort zone, not only to become marshals, but also once a month he will let us, the women, lead the ride on Tuesday nights. So we've come a long way from marshalling. When we first started, we would write the directions on our arms and communicate through walkie-talkies. So we've come a long way. And one thing that hasn't changed is Jeff's undying support of everybody in the cycling community. He is an ally. So Jeff is very conscious that he's of his white male privilege, and because of that though, he uses that to make sure everybody is included and everybody feels welcome regardless of what bike they ride, regardless of what they look like. And he's also quick to give others the spotlight and take it off of him. However, with that spotlight, it can go both ways because Jeff is quickly to call people out on their bullshit.
So Eric and I were super comfortable riding, and in 2019 we decided to do a triathlon together. It was up in Austin, and it was Erica's first and my first really super big kind of triathlon. While there, we noticed that the majority of bikes there were super expensive. They were well into the thousands of dollars. People there were really intimidating. They were very serious. Super fit. Everybody had six packs. Everybody had spandex everywhere. Super male dominated, very Caucasian, and we just kind of felt out of place. We completed the race, and on the way home, we were kind of daydreaming about how we can make an organized sport more accessible to people who looked a little bit more like us. So we had a very simple idea: creating a space for women, LGBTQ+, and minorities in organized sports. So we saw those barriers that kept so many people from participating in events: cost,
Intimidation,
lack of representation.
the fear of being left behind.
By June of that year, we established our LLC and brought our dreams to reality and got our first event on the calendar: a women's only and LGBTQ+ friendly bike ride.
Despite our smiles and big goals, we both are introverts, and Michelle and I get very nervous when we're having to go outside of our comfort zone like today. But we knew we had to advertise. We knew we had to advertise besides on social media, so we thought we'd have to go to bike shops. So we went down, printed up our poster, so excited. We knew we took the day off. We said, okay, we're gonna go to all the bike shops in San Antonio. We went to the first bike shop, and I won't mention the name, but with butterflies in our stomachs and posters in hand, we walked in, super excited, saw somebody, we talked to them and said, hey, we have this bike ride coming up, can we put our poster? And we were stunned when we were met with resistance because he asked,
Why is this an all-women's event?
which we said we want an inclusive and safe space without intimidation or being objectified.
Will I get hit on too during bike rides? Good luck finding volunteers. Don't ask us.
He continued to berate us with question after question, and he definitely was not an ally.
So we left that bike shop and we sat in the car and we cried. No lie, we cried. Ugly cry. We questioned ourselves. We thought maybe we were doing something wrong.
Maybe he didn't mean it.
Maybe he was having a bad day. We needed an event and we called Brian, Erica's spouse. Brian was super pissed off.
I love that guy.
He pointed out that that bike shop owner was wrong. We did not deserve that treatment. Afterwards, we called Mike and he said for the same thing. He reiterated, that guy's a jerk. What are you doing? Keep doing what you're doing.
Fuck that guy.
So we realized we did what most women do.
We rationalized men's bad behavior.
We dried our tears and we said to ourselves, fuck them! Somos chingonas and no one is going to stop us.
So it doesn't end there. We kept on with our day, and the last stop was Right-Away Bicycles in Alamo Ranch. We walked in, and the manager greeted us, John. He was extremely pleasant. He asked us about our event. We asked him, can we put our poster up? He was so willing and nice and said absolutely. He asked us about the event, and he was so enthusiastic and just wanted to know how he could support us. So definitely different experience, and the contrast between the first and our last interaction was completely remarkable. And after meeting Ruben, the bike shop owner, his support has been unwavering. Like every year we can go to him and absolutely they support us. Right-Away Bicycles is a true ally.
Yeah.
So with our ally Right-Away support, we've had multiple successful events. We've had people come in from all around the world and we fostered a beautiful and diverse community. We may have even helped spark some of the women's only cycling groups here in San Antonio. Each year we inspire women and LGBTQ+ people to get on their bikes and come out to Texas's largest women's only bike ride. Each year we aim to bridge the gap between the 48% of women who own bikes and the 9.8% of women who participate in organized sports. That is a huge difference. Regardless of race,
Ethnicity
class,
or identity,
when you come to our events, we want you to feel welcome
welcome and seen. It has not always been easy, but we persevered and pushed ourselves to host bigger and better events each year by listening to honest feedback. We are committed to being allies and invite you to become one too. When you see someone who looks different than you,
welcome them.
introduce yourself.
Don't assume someone's knowledge based on their looks.
Before giving advice, ask if they're open to receive it.
For every tough day that we've faced, we've experienced moments of joy and kinship tenfold. From the first-time participants, our dedicated volunteers, our amazing community and friends, our fellow cyclists, we are eternally grateful.
Thank you for being our ally.
We look forward to continuing providing opportunities for all of participants to participate in amazing organized sports events.
And lastly, the word chingona has evolved in the last few years. We've reclaimed it, so its definition now means something much more positive. to stand in the face of adversity and go into places where there is little to no representation.
Chingona means to live your truth and empower others.
A chingona does not question their goals or anybody else's goals.
Being chingona means you are an ally.
So we ask you,
How can you become a chingon ally?
and we are so happy to introduce Jeffrey Lynn Moore.
Our star ally.
And fun fact, Jeff actually married Brian and me.
Geez, thanks. Let's hear for Chingona again. Transforming our city. Big time, big time. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to take the energy level down a little bit. It's going to slow down a little bit. Yeah, and I expect this to be a little bit interactive. People here that are a part of this story. I want to tell my story, but really I want to hit on 3 different points that are important to me. One is my journey from a bicyclist to an advocate, and how that story is actually shared with all of us. You're here because you care about this community, so you're all advocates in some way. Some of you much more so than I. And we're all on this journey together. We share a lot of values. We share a lot of the same things. So I'll talk about that a little bit. All through the talk, I'll talk about that. I also want to talk about the real value that I've found out of bike rides, of group rides in general. No matter if it's a slow social ride, or if it's a fast-paced training ride, there's some things that transcend all that, and values that we all can find in these rides. And I'll talk about that. If I have time, I want to tell a story about how connected we all are in the things we do. So this is going to go quick. My story part of it is pretty boring. It's a Friday evening. Nobody should be yawning. Okay, nobody's yawning yet. I grew up on the east side. My first bike was, my first bike was my brother's bike, which was a Western Auto copy of a Stingray. Badass bike. My bike was actually a Montgomery Ward copy of a Western Auto copy of the Stingray. And it was even more badass bike. So I grew up riding my bike to elementary school on the east side, Eastwood Village to W.W. White. The area behind my house, behind my neighborhood, was this vast green area that is now Martin Luther King Park and some kind of sports center there. But we just call it the trails, and we go down there and ride our bikes on the trails. And I made some of the best friends all through elementary school. Kids would meet at the end of their driveway. We'd ride to school together until we got too cool for each other. And then we broke up into little niches and rode with our own little friends, like humans do. Years later, I went to college, came back to San Antonio, got a job, and the first thing I did when I got a job was I bought a mountain bike. And that mountain bike took me all kinds of places, to Matagorda Island, overnight bike packing trips that bike packing didn't even exist back then, to British Columbia. And then on one Christmas afternoon, that bike was stolen from the 3rd floor apartment of Salado Creek Apartments where I live. So always lock up your bikes, even if you live on the 3rd floor of an apartment, especially on Christmas Day when everybody's gone. All right, so all through that, and then in the 20s, 2007, 2008, I started riding from my house. I bought a house downtown, kind of in almost Park Terrace, and I realized what a kick-ass place San Antonio is to ride downtown. I started riding with Bike World's Thursday night kind of crew. It was 2002, 2003, 4, 5, 6. 2009, I started riding with my own group of friends. Started off with co-workers, and then some friends I knew through the community. And what struck me is that people who had never ridden downtown or never ridden in groups together, it brought them so much enjoyment, and it kind of changed everybody. And I'm like everybody, I want to bring happiness to people, and that did it. And I'm like, this is a good scene. It's positive, not always positive, but it's usually positive, and you're bringing people together. And we were bringing people together from all over San Antonio, the county, outside the county. There were people, by 2015 or so, there were people driving in from Tilden, Texas, all the way, 80 miles from here on some Tuesday nights. Now, I need to step back and say that The Tuesday Night Bike Club, or SATX Social Ride, whatever it was at that time, was a group effort. It was a grassroots group effort. And it was these guys back here. It was Brian, Erica, Michelle, Brian, Dan, a lot of people who aren't here tonight. Everybody's bringing ideas in. Everybody's changing it. Everybody's growing it. We started doing charity events in 2015, 2014. One of our riders, Norma, she saw some homeless people in Maverick Park, and we started building care packages for them during the holiday season. And then that just became like a monthly thing. We would start partnering with the Family Violence Prevention Center. We would have pink out rides for breast cancer. We do blood drives. We did a health screening for people's family one night while we were all riding. Just, it grew from the community. And that's going to lead me to my second point is the real value of community bike rides. And if you're even in a really fast, no drop ride, there's people showing up to your ride for some reason. And that reason is because they're getting value out of that. Now, I've had some great conversations with people, and they've opened up to me about some things that you might not know about. So, and it runs the gamut from health issues like heart disease, like diabetes, like struggles with weight, but also a lot more serious stuff like substance abuse disorder, PTSD, drug abuse, just all sorts of mental health issues. And we live in this this world that all that stuff is so stigmatized. We don't talk about it. We don't bring it out. But I can tell you, I can guarantee you that every ride in town, there's people that are doing these rides for health reasons. That might be physical health. It might be that you're trying to get in shape. There's definitely some people there that are struggling with issues that you don't know about. And this is the value that we can't quantify. Nobody wants to talk about it, but it's there for all of us. And so I want to challenge anybody that's in a ride like that to be aware of it. At least be aware of it, bring it up to your ride leaders, if you are a ride leader. Let's talk about it. Let's try to maximize that. On the third Tuesday of the month, we do our gratitude ride from the Hub Market. And there's some people, there's an amazing amount of expertise in all these bike groups. And we have a couple psychologists talk to us about it, and we're brainstorming on how can we raise the importance of this, the value that people are getting out of this ride on this particular third Tuesday. And we're gonna try to turn it into something a lot more important. There's a guy, I don't know if anybody knows Renee in Houston. Renee does Wellness on Wheels. Shout out to that guy. He's a badass. Now Renee does ride therapy for children. It's actually adventure therapy. He takes kids out on bike rides, and they reach all different levels of healing with that. I'm skipping a lot of stuff here for your sake, believe me. And I want to talk to you about the last point I want to make here is about how we're all interconnected. The worst thing that ever happened in the cycling community, all of us, probably share this, is when Tito Bradshaw was killed. So that sent shockwaves all throughout the community. People were depressed, just shocked, couldn't believe that it happened.
Tito forever! Tito forever!
Yeah. Well, this is the impact of Tito, and the love and support of the community. There's a guy, I'm not going to name the names, but a guy that's really high up in the high-tech industry in San Antonio, in tech blocks, stuff like that. It's part of the 80/20 group, these philanthropic organizations. He's talking to the guys at Mila Coffee, and they're bummed because Tito had died. And they're like, why are you so bummed? And they gave him the story of Tito, how he died, his impact on our community. This guy's not a bike rider, right? Doesn't even own a bike. But he goes back to the foundation and tells everybody about this tragedy that struck the cycling community. And they want to do something. So in the past, they had created something for their tech community called Tech Block. It's hugely successful. They created the Live to Ride Fund. And it was a small group of people within the 80/20. And they're about raising funds and making a difference in our community. Whether that's PSAs or helping the city with bike plans or all sorts of stuff. Now, the pandemic came along right at the same time, and so that kind of slowed down a little bit. But there was enough money in that fund already to work with Jasillo. So there's kids on the east side, shipping container with some stuff in it. That money went to help Jasillo with the shipping container. So Christina's out there, training kids, making a commitment to the community based on this long story of events that go back to Tito. Now, also from that fund, they helped us put Activate SA together. So they're allowing us to have a full-time employee, allowing us to go to meetings, allowing us to be involved in the political process, which no bike advocacy group in San Antonio has ever had that ability to. Damn, that's a bad picture. Sorry, Dan, you took that picture. I mean, that's the Grinch, and that's me in the front. I just want to make that clear. But through, one person, just seeing how traumatized the group is, our community, all these things can happen. So that's just one story, and there's similar themes going through all of these groups with all of you. So I'm going to wrap this up, and I just want to reiterate those three things. Socialized grassroots organizations, there's a lot of value to them. There's the physical, the mental aspect, the emotional aspect. Any ride that you guys are doing, you're making a huge impact on the society. You're making an impact on individuals, families. And you're making the city more resilient. The other part of it is that, man, we're all in the same group together, right? We're all advocates here. That's why we're here. And we're influencing each other in ways we don't know yet, right? That's it. And so I'm happy to introduce our next storyteller, Ron. Come on up. I've seen Ron around town for years. He's riding down the road more than any of us, or as much as anybody I know.
That's right.
He's not afraid of Broadway. He owns Broadway.
Yeah.
Broadway is my street. We did a ride with the mayor. Remember this, Jeff? We were at Lions Field, and we were going to ride down Broadway with the mayor, and we were going to promote bike lanes on Broadway.
Yes.
So I went up to the mayor and said, "Listen, Mayor, if you hear a bunch of people yelling out and clapping and everything, don't worry about it. That's for me. This is my road." Yeah, I ride by Broadway a lot. So I wanted to share a bike ride with you that I did on March 16th of this year. And I generally will find my way downtown along some routes. So I'm coming out of the Terrell Heights neighborhood up there behind the McNay Art Museum. That's my hood, that's where I live. And I wanted to explore the San Pedro Creek. I had been down there. I had noticed that sometimes there's a river and sometimes there's not. The spring is completely dry, but there's a pool of water. Well, what's going on with this San Pedro Creek? So I'm going to explore it. I'm going to get into it. So I find my way down to the cafe, which is right up here on top of the hill, Philo's, the West French of San Pedro. That's my spot. They got this awesome, amazing, beautiful, powerful, ancient oak tree in the backyard. That is something else, folks. I love to sit under that tree and just feel its presence. It's been there for hundreds of years. It's seen people come and go. It was here when the hunters and gatherers were running around, before we got all civilized about it. So I had my matcha latte, rolled down the hill, San Pedro Springs, completely dry. But there's a pool right next to it. Between the pool and the dry springs, there's a wall with water coming out of it. It's like a miracle. And all the street people are gathered around. When this pool is closed, they take the fence down. When the pool is open, they put the fence up. Right. Anyway, the pool is beautiful. It has all those cypress trees around it. It's just down here a couple of blocks. This is an ancient sacred site that the ancient hunters and gatherers used to gather around and worship Mother Nature herself, incarnate in the form of that beautiful spring with the water bubbling out of the earth, nurturing all the plants and animals. and forming this beautiful creek. So the hunters and gatherers are still around. They're the street people. They're living day to day, and they're hunting and gathering. And there was a lot of street people around the pool when I started my adventure. The pool is full of water, but below the pool is just an empty stream bed. And it goes across the street. It goes underneath the Via bus barn, completely underground. You can't even see it. For, I don't know, man, a quarter of a mile, half a mile. It comes back above ground, just on the other side of 5 Points. 5 Points has a historical marking where the stagecoach used to cross San Pedro Springs on its way to Fredericksburg. There's Fredericksburg Road right there, and Flores. That's also where the Comanches used to cross. Apparently, it's a nice low water crossing. I kind of feel like a modern day Comanche riding my bike around. I like to, ride hard and whoop it up and disobey all the laws I possibly can. So, safely. Hey, if no cars are coming, I'm not a robot. Look both ways, be safe, check for cops, and roll on. So anyways, the creek reappears at 5 Points. And it's really quite beautiful. It goes on for about 200 yards. There's only 2 inches of water in the creek bed. And a bunch of street people camped out there. At the end of that little run, it goes into these underground caverns and chambers and tunnels, and I met a guy there actually. He lived in the drain, the storm drain. It came off of the street and drained into the river. I would pull up, ring my bell, and he would pop the manhole cover and he'd look around. Hey, Rod! Hey, Roadrunner, what's going on? So this time I brought my long boots. I'm gonna go down there. I'm gonna check out these underground caverns. There we go. Thank you. This is it. There are people living under here, and they're painting their walls like the old Neolithic caves in, Europe. Have you got the one with a white sign? Like another one? No, back. Oh well. Anyways, I'm down underneath there, exploring the underground caverns. There's a sign somebody put up, no parking. This place is flooded out. I'm walking along and all of a sudden I hear this voice. Who is it? Exploring? What? I'm just exploring. There was somebody down there, and he heard me tromping around, so he was calling out. I decided that was a good place to turn around. I didn't want to intrude on anybody's privacy. He was back that far in the caves. He probably had a good reason to be back there. So I crawled around in the caves for a while and explored the art. And if you follow the San Pedro Creek downstream from there, you'll find that it goes underground again, underneath the I-10 expressway. There's a skate park there and a street people bike shop. I tried to get into the bike shop, but I was not allowed to go in there with my camera. But everybody I met was like really friendly. I mean, if you treat people with respect, 99% of the people are friendly. So I met a lot of the street people, and I got to explore the caverns. The creek, the poor creek, oh my God. This used to be a live, real creek that was flowing all the time. Now, sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. It comes up above ground again where the San Pedro Cultural Park begins. There's a wall there, like this huge wall. And on the upriver side, there are all these, there's like a conveyor belt, it's like a machine that's built into the river to pick up all the trash that accumulates in the river. It gets much worse than this. On the other side of this wall is that amazing water wall. which is the beginning of the San Pedro Culture Park. The San Pedro Culture Park theme is inclusion. And it celebrates all the immigrants that came and settled there along that creek back in the day. The Germans, the Italians, the Polish, the Mexicans were already there, the Americans, and supposedly, according to the signs, they all lived peacefully and, you know, got along and started building the city. That part of the river is elegant. The upriver is completely neglected. The city of San Antonio will not clean this up. They won't go there because there's needles and all kinds of strange shit in this part of the river. So they just let it go. But where the San Pedro Culture Park starts, it's all clean and neat and beautiful. But there are no street people there. To me, the street people are the modern day hunters and gatherers. I was at Poblanos the other day having breakfast right there in Houston, across from the Gunter Hotel. I'm sitting there having my breakfast, and this guy comes up to me. I mean, totally miserable, wretched-looking guy. I'm hungry. Looks right into my eyes, gets right up close. I'm hungry. What am I going to do? I'm eating breakfast. So I get him a couple of tacos. I give him the tacos, and he takes my hand and pushes it close to him. I can feel your love. You're a good man. I can feel your heart. Can I have $2? He's hunting and gathering. That's how he survives. So the San Pedro Creek rolls on. Now it's all plush. Now it's all urban sculptures. And it's the new Riverwalk. And if you get off right there at the Frost Bank Tower, get on Houston and just go east a little ways, a quarter mile, you will find the San Antonio River. These two rivers run parallel, quarter mile apart, downtown. Back in the day, before all these people came, this was a rich alluvial valley. There's probably a forest there, all kinds of stuff grew, a meadow, fish, waterfowl, frogs, snakes, crocodiles, all kinds of animals in their groovy niches. It was good hunting and gathering. Nowadays, it's a city. We have a different kind of forest, but we still have the hunters and gatherers all over downtown. If you ride your bike around, you will see plenty of street people hunting and gathering, getting by that day, especially if you get into the near west side. There's hundreds and hundreds of hunters and gatherers. Either they don't want to be part of modern society, which I don't blame them, or they're unable to be for some reason. They're living an alternative lifestyle. So that was part of my adventure, discovering the San Pedro Creek and how the city has dressed it up and tried to make it something beautiful and honorable. But in fact, it's a ditch most of the way, or it's completely dry. So is that good? Is that bad? I don't know. It's what it is. The street people are there and then they're gone. And you can see the whole history of San Antonio in that stretch of river. By the way, this whole story was written up in my Substack newsletter called the Ron Report, spelled R-O-H-N, from March 16th. If you want to read this story and see the pictures and even listen to the podcast, you can find that in the archives, or I can give you a card with a name on it. So thanks for listening to my story.
Awesome. Let's give it up for him one more time. Hey guys, thank you so much for hanging in. What we're going to do is we're going to take a 10-minute intermission. Hold on to your raffle tickets. Right when we come back after that 10 minutes, we're going to do a few raffle prices. Please, once again, hold on to your tickets, 10 minutes. We also want to remind you that you can still sign up for a wild card. That just means that you're able to come up here and be wild for 5-7 minutes. I mean, no particular time. If you got inspired after hearing some of these stories, there's no particular requirement. We just love to share community stories about bike, whether it's something that you've done or maybe something that it's like helped you learn. There's no particular like requirements. So once again, it's going to be a 10 quick minute short break. Am I missing anything else that I should announce?
There's water over there. I know it's hot once again. Get hydrated. Let's thank so much Cynthia, Oscar de la Tienda. I want to thank all the sponsors once again for giving us the opportunity to help out and donate. Thank you all so much for everybody being here. Go ahead and take 10 minutes and we'll see you back in just a bit.
The prizes are in the back, so if I call your number, please go to the back. We have a list of things. The first prize is a Black Lab gift card and a Bone Tracker jersey. All right, here we go. This is a speed raffle. Number is 564125. Okay, go get your prize whenever you can. Next prize is the Black Lab gift card and another jersey. 564142.
What?
564142. You got one? Yay! Awesome. Okay. Once again, Black Lab $15 gift card. Thanks to Black Lab. Bone Tracker jersey. Y'all are gonna be twinsies, triplets. 564132. Where are you at? Yeah! Awesome. Okay, we got 2 more prizes for this round, and we have a separate set of prizes, including this amazing bike from Rest in Paradise. So stick around for that second round. 564146.
That's you!
That's the Blue Star Bike Shop basket of items. And Chingona Race Productions, Medusa Trail Rail Run entry. I believe that was the 4th one, right? Yes, that was the Blue Star Bike Shop basket of items, Chingona Race Productions, 1 Medusa Trail Run entry.
One Chingona entry.
Thank you. Okay, this is the last prize for this round. It is the Hub Market helmet. Stay safe out there on your ride. 564133.
Wow, somebody claim it!
What? Yay! Alright, great job. Just a reminder, we have wild card storytellers. We have 2 people already signed up for that, so I'm super excited. Especially excited because I don't even know what they're going to share. I saw there's one person's synopsis. It sounds very exciting. We'll hear their story later. We have another round of stories coming up, more prizes, and we also have the community plug segment. That is 30 seconds for you to come up here and share anything you want. If it's like, hey, I want you to come volunteer at my work. Hey, I want you to go kayaking with me. I want you to go biking with me. Hey, my bike club is cool. It starts at this time, this place, tomorrow, be there. Anything kind of like that, or if you just, want to share anything that you are passionate about in the community and you think people here want to learn or should learn about it, you can share that 30-second plug. It's just an opportunity for you to connect a little bit more with the community and share more than Bike Joy, but just Bike Joy is fine also. So if you want to get a wild card submission, it's in the back. We have the papers up out there. Yeah, just a reminder on that. But where are we on the? We're back on the intermission. We are a little bit tight on time, so just gonna put that out there for all of the following storytellers. I think we have an introducer for the next storyteller, which is Andrea, and here she is. Thank you, introducer.
All right, so next up is Andrea Lynn Rulofs. You may know her as a group ride leader for Mujeres. You may know her as the ALR Works bag maker, bike bag maker. Woo! Andrea!
Hello everyone. I'm not used to speaking with a mic. Most of my speaking bike packing back in 2018, but my story about how I got there starts much earlier than that. When I was a kid, I used to love the summers. One, my birthday's in the summer, of course, but being outside, riding my bike, but also camping with my family was a highlight every summer. Me and my friends would go. It was always a great time. As I grew older, I learned how to adopt that hobby into adulthood. Along with cycling, I of course cycled as a kid. I remember riding with my younger brother around our neighborhood and riding, trying to meet friends when we moved to a new neighborhood. And as I grew older, I adopted cycling as an adult hobby and also camping. Over time, I looked for ways to combine my bicycling and camping together. So I got curious about bike packing. I knew one person in San Antonio who already did it. So I basically made them invite me into their next trip because I was like, I'm going. I really wanted to go. So I had my first trip lined up. We were going to go to Lakewood. It was in December of 2017. I had my bike all packed up. It was like super heavy. It would have been a terrible trip. But anyways, as the day approached, the weather looked horrendous. It was going to be cold. A cold front was moving in, rain. So I made the hard decision of not going on that trip. And that turned out to be the best decision because some of my friends that had left the day before ended up huddled in a bathroom all day, cold, trying to stay dry. Some of my other friends that left on Saturday didn't even make it to the campsite. They were unthawing in a motel room because of the rain and the cold. So I'd say I dodged a bullet skipping out on that trip. But like I said, I still wanted to go. So naturally, I planned my first bike packing trip for myself. So I planned out a trip to Guadalupe State Park, which is pretty easy to bike to. It's straight up Blanco Road, about 30 miles, for March of 2018. It was a great trip. We had a great ride up there. At that time, the only bikes I had like a single speed, like steel bike, but I also had a road bike. As Christina said, like I make things, so I looked up ways to pack my bikes. I just used some dry bags and put them on my road bike. Once we got to the campsite, it actually started raining again. Another rain trip, but it was okay. We set up tarps and we just kind of hung out under the tarps most of that trip. That year was a lot of firsts for me. I went on more bike packing trips in 2018. I started experimenting with sewing bike bags. I also bought my first gravel adventure bike to go on more trips. Since that time, I've been on over 20 bike packing trips, mostly in and around San Antonio. My bike packing friends here, so glad to see them as well. Through bike packing, I've learned a lot of lessons about myself, about relationships with friends, how to encourage new people to join. Some unexpected things have been learning leadership lessons while bike packing. This picture is actually from one of those trips where I learned some lessons about leadership. A group of about 6 of us went over to Sam Houston National Forest, which is out East Texas, north of Houston. So we did the restaurant loop. The first day, I had read online you can camp at this place called Hidden Lake. Of course, I wanted to camp at Hidden Lake. Who wouldn't? So it's at the end of the day, we're ready to set up camp, but we have to find this hidden lake. And you have to go on some trails with your bikes. There's a lot of hike and bike, which is you have to get off your bike and walk it. Turns out there's a lot of trails in Sam Houston National Forest. It was pretty difficult to find this hidden lake, but that was a lesson in leadership because, we were getting frustrated because Lisa was there. She can attest that we took some wrong turns. A little difficult to find, but we eventually found the lake. I had some other pictures where we had to get our bikes up a ravine. It was a team effort to get across that. It was a lot of fun though. The lesson I learned in that trip was sometimes as a leader of trips, you have to learn when to step forward and when to step back. Most bike packing trips are pretty much you just show up. If you know where you're going, have your bike, you can do it. But sometimes there's extra leadership needed in times of frustration or when we get lost, things like that. So that's a lesson I've learned. I'm not sure where I'm at on time, but the next part of my story I want to talk about, probably skipped a lot, that's was about how you guys can start your first bikepacking trip. Like I said, when I first started, I just used my road bike. I threw some dry bags on there with camping equipment. Yes, anyone can go on a bikepacking trip. Well, if you like camping, that's definitely an important part of that. Like when we went to Sam Houston, there's no bathrooms, there's no water.
It's an experience.
Yeah. But you have to like camping to go bike camping. So if you like camping and ride a bike, which most of you here, I would definitely give it a try and don't hesitate. You can always ask for help from people that already do it. You can connect with me or other people to learn how to set up your bike and go on that first trip. So that's my story. I think I skipped a lot of things, but that's okay.
Keep it going for Andrea. Man, what a great night! If you don't know who I am, my name is Zeke, and I'm the high chief of a small group here downtown called the Cannibal Bike Ride. Those guys know us. First of all, real quick, I know we're short on time, but thank you, Val, for bringing this back to San Antonio. I met Val at the first one, and then a few months ago, I found myself in Austin, drunk and high, at an event, and Val recognized me. And she's like, hey, and I'm so happy that you did, because this is an incredible night to share everybody's stories. So thank you very much. Also, Chingonas made our bibs for our most recent event. Love y'all guys. All right. It is my honor to introduce the next speaker tonight. If you have been anywhere on social media, you have absolutely seen some of her shorts, her reels, her posts at Lily.com on Instagram and TikTok. She has an incredible eye, and she is absolutely, I don't like using the word influencer, so what I'm going to say is she is the voice that needs to be heard right now. So it is my honor to introduce our next speaker, Lily.com. Lily Terra.
No, seriously, thank you so much, Zeke. I appreciate it, and everybody else here as well. It's been a great opportunity to help Valerie with this event, but it was my honor to speak here actually when the first Bike Story Night was here back in February. It was so cold. If you all were here, thank you also so much for being there and for being here. It's interesting how it was like, cold then and it was like freaking hot now, but thank you so much. The reason that I like being part of the cycling community is because it's brought me something that I really never thought it would bring me, which is the flexibility to be active, be outdoors, but also make new connections at an age that I thought that I really didn't see myself doing something new. Sometimes society tells us that there's a stop at a particular time, and let me tell you, there certainly is not. All of you in here have actually something so incredible in you. And what I want to share is the fact that I have had the support of the cycling community since the very beginning. Like, it's so exciting. That's why I'm up here, because it's like the cycling community. So Andrea just went up here, and what I want to share, I'm not sure if it's the first one. I labeled them like 1, 2, 3. I think the first one was like, yes, this is a gravel ride. This year, since I last spoke, I've done a few new things. One of them is done my first gravel ride. It's not the same, guys, as the actual road ride. I had to cancel plans afterwards because my elbow hurt and my grip, and of course, like, experienced rider Andrea's like, well, you were probably like gripping too tight, and it's like, oh yeah, I was gripping for my goddamn life. But it's so much fun. When I say gravel, it really is gravel. We go through some roads, but we eventually get through gravel. This was organized by Andrea. Thank you so much. I literally just showed up. I did not know where we were going. They're like, oh, download the route. Like, I just showed up. That's how much trust I have in the cycling community. It was an honor to be able to do this. look at that crowd. That was people trusting the Mujeres page that advertising it. Trusting other people that reposted to come out here, which by the way was about like a 35-minute drive, so it wasn't just like, oh, let me like bike to the location. So that's trust right there, that's community. What I've also had the opportunity to do is take my first bikepacking trip. Can you show the next photo? And this was also with Andrea, thank you so much. This is me at Guadalupe River State Park. It's my favorite state park because it's so close and there's water in there. I biked with what is held here to the freaking state park. And to me, that's a tremendous honor. Sometimes we forget to really like humble ourselves and know how much we've come. Sometimes it's like, oh, other people have done more. And okay, that's true, but what have we done? Like, we're our own worst critics. And I was so honored to be able to do this on a borrowed bike by experience of people of the community. I had really no idea what to expect, but I knew that I wanted to experience new things this year, and this was the second new thing that I did cycling this year, like a bikepacking trip. What I've also had the opportunity to do, the next slide, is participate in a second Mission Relay Express race. What does that mean? It means it's a Mission Relay Express race. I'm not quite sure how to say it, but it's a great opportunity to come out here and support the community. And what I love about this particular photo is that, like, not only does it look pretty badass, but I really want to make the point of thanking the people who took the time to create an event. Something like this, for example, it's not the easiest thing. There's always so much room for improvement. People always have something that they're not necessarily like, you know, loving about the event, but it takes a lot more courage to, despite that, come out here and do it. And the Cannibals, along with Five Sign Cycling, who is not here, they created an event, nothing that I personally have seen before, and it consisted basically of a team effort consisting of, you know, doing your best effort and participating in a race. What I really want to point out is that, like, yeah, it's a race, but I love the cycling community because the people who came out there came out to support and participate. People did not come out there necessarily to win. People came out to be a part of the cycling community, be a part of an event that's different, and that's what I like to support. Being part of something. I'm not up here because I'm the fastest, I'm the most knowledgeable. I just started cycling a few years ago. I'm learning to this day. I've actually had so much experience from all the other individuals in this community, and that's why I'm standing up here, just to let you know that if you have the energy and time, that's the most sacred time, most sacred thing to us. Give it to someone who might like value it, because that is me. Look at like this picture. This is something that I never really thought that I'd be a part of. When I was asked to be part of this team, my answer was, "Are you sure?" Because I couldn't believe that I was being asked to be part of something that I personally didn't feel that I was deserving of. And that's just a great example of us being hard on ourselves, but also doing things that you might not necessarily see yourself doing. The last thing that I want to share before I wrap up is the fact that I've had the opportunity to work at a freaking bike shop. Let me tell you this, guys, this is not necessarily something that I saw myself doing. I used to work at a corporate job, and for reasons out of my control, I'm no longer there. And taking a negative experience into a positive is a lot harder than it sounds. Although I would tell it to my best friend. But when it was me looking at myself in the mirror, it took all I freaking had to really tell myself, I'm not my job. You know, I really want to do something that I'm more passionate. And it fell in line where the universe just kind of told me, hey, you have the opportunity to work at a bike shop. And I took it. And let me tell you, it's not where I saw myself. It really is not. But I love what I'm doing right now. I love the people that come in there. I love being able to share some sort of story or insight into possibly including another individual, because let me tell you, I came from community, and that is all I owe it to. Sometimes I'm out on a bike ride and half of the things that I'm wearing is donated, gifted. I appreciate all of you. So take the time to get to know each other, to do something new. I hope that you guys have a fun night, and also come see me on Blue Star. Like, I'm still learning, I'm still new. I'm definitely not like the best, but let me tell you that I have confidence. I've been learning some cool stuff. So shout out to Jimmy, actually, who's here. This guy has decades of experience, and he has bestowed so much knowledge on me, so much patience. I came in there saying, all I know is how to do is change a flat. And they're like, it's okay, we can teach you. And let me tell you, I have learned so much. So I encourage you all to learn something new, whether it's in cycling or something else. And once again, thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate all of you.
All right, I'm gonna let you finish. But right now, I just want to say, Lily failed to mention something. Where's that picture? Her team was first place. First place in the Mission Express Relay against Hammers that came out of Houston and Austin and San Antonio. You are way more, you have way more value than you give yourself. And we all see it and we all love you.
Thank you, Lily. That was amazing, as always. I appreciate you. I could keep all this applause rolling. I'm going to post on social media all the thank yous to Lily for all of her help and support for this event. Really, truly, it does take a lot of work to organize an event. I cannot tell you, there's a million to-dos, emails, and things, and I love it, but it is a lot. So having someone like Lily, who is experienced, who is excited, who loves doing this, help, it has meant the world to me. So thank you for sharing your story, and thank you for all that you've done. All right, so we have 2 wildcard storytellers signed up already. We're going to bring up the first one. We probably have time for one more, maybe. So if you want to share a story, come see me in the back. I have the submission forms. But let's bring up the first wildcard storyteller. And by the way, y'all have been a great audience. There hasn't been much talking. Y'all have been like tuned in, and that's what it's about. Really, truly, I feel like Jeff said a lot of, sitting down thinking about storytelling and connecting with people over and over, like, goes in my head, and I freaking love this. Thank you all for being here. Next wildcard, or first wildcard storyteller, come on up. I don't have your synopsis with me, but you're gonna have to, yes, just come on up. Rambo!
All right, I got kind of nervous just like looking from back there. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, I shouldn't have signed up for this shit. Anyways, I'm gonna try my best. So this is, I'll give a little bit about myself. My name is Rambo Salinas. I manage Friends of Sound Records over here on Ashby. I curate shows. I'm involved in the community, mainly the West Side, and I love music and biking. I've been biking since I was a kid. I was building bikes when I was like 14 and selling them to other people in my neighborhood, other little kids. So that's just a little history of when I got started. But this story is about 2 jackings. I bought this bike. It was a Schwinn. It was shitty. It was kind of like a road bike hybrid. I don't even remember. I didn't care. It was $80. I bought it. You give that 6 months. Yeah, I give it like 6 months. There's a grace period before we fall in love. And I wasn't, I finally hit the 6 months, and I was like, okay, I love this bike. We're gonna go all in. So you start buying little parts and shit for it, whatever. And I had it for like 3 years, thousands of miles on it. I had a friend come in from Chicago to visit, and we took a bike ride one night, and the next day I was like, I'll let her take mine. It'll be fine. Let her take it. I'm getting off of work. I give the call. Hey, what's going on? She's like, oh, I'm about to leave the library. And then she goes silent. And I already knew it. And I was like, what's wrong? She's like, your bike's gone. I'm like, fuck. All right, cool. I'm gonna go get my other bike so I could go look for that bike. So anyways, ruined her trip because I was emotional because the bike was gone. So, you start looking for another bike. There you go. You know, my size. All the Chicanos are about 5'5". You know, I mean, well, no, like I'm like 5'9", 5'11", but you can't find any 55 frames. It's a pain in the ass. So I'm looking online, up at 4 in the morning all the time, and I find my bike on OfferUp. And I'm like, oh shit, that's my bike. There it is. So I call the guy next day, and I was like, hey, what's up? Can I come look at that bike? He's like, yeah. So I call my homegirl, tell her to come pick me up. I'm like, we gotta go to a stakeout. So we go south side. We're over by the pecan factory right there, Ceballos and Flores, maybe, by the Wong. So we go there. You know, I looked at the picture and I was like, oh, it's fucking right there. So we parked and I looked across the street. I'm like, where could it be? Oh, this one fucking spot, right there where that building burned. Little story. There was a little spot right there. And these guys just had like little weed eaters and shit you can steal out of a garage. So anyways, I called back. I was like, let's go get a payphone. Call him again. And he's like, nah, actually somebody's already coming for it. And I was like, that's me. And he's like, no, it's somebody else. And I was like, this fool's about to pull one. So we go back, stake out again. I wait a little bit and I'm like, fuck it, I gotta go to work. Call again and he's like, nah, you know, they came and picked it up. I was like, nah. So we go back, I walk across the street, go through this gate. That's when I start seeing all this shit. And I was like, hey, I came to look at the bike, hoping they would think that I was a person still coming for it. And the guy said, no, it's gone, like it's sold. And I was like, no, it didn't. It did not sell. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, I've been parked across the street for like 2 hours, like staking this fucking spot out, man. So I'm like, go get my bike. Like, I want my bike. He's like, no, man, that's all. I was like, then I got kind of angry and was like, dude, go get my fucking bike right now before I blow this place. Like, I know y'all stealing shit. Like, I can see what's going on. Y'all are iced out. He's like, oh, fuck it. You know, I could tell he was getting nervous. So the guy comes out, there's my bike, chain still on it. And I was like, dude, what the fuck? Like, he's like, oh, we bought it at the thrift store. I was like, bullshit. Them fools make you sign papers. There's no fucking way you got this at the thrift store. So I was like, fuck that. I was like, dude, y'all like fucking up. I'm gonna tell people about y'all spot because y'all are stealing shit and you're trying to resell it. Grab my bike, right? Fucking pissed. My homegirl's parked across the street. She's staking out. And I was like, yo, I'm just gonna bike to work because I'm fucking angry. Like, I'm heated already. Cool. Bike to work. I was over there south, back over here to Fred. Get to work and I'm excited. And my homeboy's working the counter. He comes out and I have my bike outside. And he's like, oh shit, you got it back. And I'm like, fuck, dude, I got it back. I gotta tell you this story. So I walk in and I'm telling him the story. And like, I'm very sensitive to things. And I get like a smell as soon as I walk into the record shop. And it smells like a dead rat. And I'm like, I know what the fuck it is. It's a dead rat, like upstairs. So while I'm telling him the story, I kind of go into automatic. And I'm just like, oh shit, I'm gonna go take care of that. And then I'm on the phone at the same time talking to my boss, George, telling him what happened. Go up there, get the rat trap, I'm on the phone, throw the rat in the back, whatever. Come back out and I'm hanging up on George, going back to go tell Miguel. And I look outside and the fucking bike's gone. Like, fuck! So I started fucking like, I run out the store, like, call George, run out, and I'm like running down the street, and I'm like, man, it couldn't have been far. They couldn't get far, right? And he's on there, and he's like, oh man, I'm driving to the store. I'm like, fuck, dude, they stole it again. Like, I fucking lost it. God damn it, I just got it back. He's like, dude, I'm rolling up. Like, just get in the fucking car. Cool. Got in the car. I was like, yo, let's at least drive to HEB. Like, Fred down to HEB. I think we passed, like, right underneath the highway, and sure enough, there are these two little kids, and there goes my bike. So we fucking jumped the curb with the car, and I'm like, get the fuck off my bike! Fucking super heated. He's like, oh, no. I'm like, man, just give me my fucking bike. Like, you know fucking better. Like, it was sitting there, blah, blah, blah. Grab the bike back. Come back to the store. I have my baby back. Twice, jacked in one day, and returns back to me. And I have plenty stories where this happens, where the bike just comes back. So I rode her pretty hard after that, and then her bottom bracket cracked on the frame. And that was it. But she's still in the backyard. She's gonna decompose there for a few years. And so I'm ready to probably burn her out.
45 minutes, and then we have one more after that. Oscar de la Tienda does have a closing time, so just FYI on that wild card storyteller.
Hey, he's got 7 minutes.
Who is this? Who's this man?
All right, y'all. This is completely impromptu. I'm just feeling inspired by everybody's stories today.
Yes.
Let me just start off by saying that the bicycle in my mind is the fountain of youth. It keeps you young in mind, body, and spirit. And if you keep riding, you will always have a young at heart spirit. I came to San Antonio 12 years ago. I had cancer. Many of you don't know this, and I don't share it publicly too often. I had my stereotypical thinking of what Texas was, and I came here kicking and screaming. But I found Joey and Maggie at Blue Star Bike Shop. And while I was going through my treatment and getting healthy, I found Alicia. And Alicia was not only the manager of all of Blue Star's companies, she was also becoming my best friend. I went through a 1.5-year process of getting healthy again and damning myself, feeling guilty, feeling pathetic in a lot of ways, and feeling sorry for myself. But what she showed me was that I had given up on faith in myself and that I had been pushing myself too hard. And she showed me how to see life and faith in a different way. When we met, we were inseparable. And it wasn't a conquest. It wasn't your typical guy scenario where I had to get in her pants. It was somebody who I truly loved as a person, her perspective, her take on things, and I couldn't be loved. I was at a point where I didn't know if I was going to be around for a while. I thought, I got maybe 3 years of the way things are going. And she showed me that I could be loved. She showed me that I had lost faith, and not in a religious way. Lost faith in myself. I was chasing deadlines. I worked in broadcasting for 20 years. I was a creative director. Every day was a deadline, busting my ass just trying to make ends meet, but getting paid well for it. When I met Alicia, she was a breath of fresh air. She showed me San Antonio on a bicycle. She showed me all the cat alley back ways. She introduced me to the zombies. Matt and Tito took me on adventures I didn't know existed. And I could barely fucking keep up. And I was grateful to find this small little town in the downtown corridor of San Antonio in this huge city that we dwell in. And I fell in love with San Antonio. And I wanted to root myself here. My lifelong goal was to open up a bike shop when I retired. My goal was to retire at 55. And I thought, bike shop at 55, hire a bunch of young people that know their stuff, and try and be the best bike shop I could and create community. Every community I've ever lived in, when I jumped all over the place when I worked for ABC and CBS television, San Francisco, Las Vegas, Honolulu, worked on Lost if you guys didn't know that.
Yeah, you did.
I came here, and it was the first time I moved to a city where I really didn't have any networking connections, and I had to really start from scratch. But anywhere I've ever moved, finding my tribe was the local bike shop. Honolulu was Bike Factory, Minneapolis was One-on-One, a number of places where it doesn't matter what you roll on, slow and low cruiser, gravel, mountain, BMX, you felt welcome. They brought you in, and it didn't matter what your political views were, what your religious views were. It was the fact that we shared a love for two wheels, and we would become the best of friends. We would put all that bullshit behind us, and the fact that we shared that love of riding was what bonded us. And we would allow each other to actually have an opinion and share our thoughts and our our viewpoints on things. And even though we disagreed, we're still the best of friends. And cycling has been that for me my whole life. I found two wheels when I was 4 and a half. I got a Huffy Pro Thunder 4 that my dad brought home one Saturday morning and destroyed it before the school started the next season. I have been a lover of two wheels my whole life. I don't broadcast that I ride. Alicia and I go out 2 or 3, sometimes 5 times a week, do the Mission Reach. It's kind of our morning ritual. But San Antonio has become home. And I am grateful for all of you. The whole idea of creating the Hub Market was to be a hub for the downtown riding community. We wanted to be a place that all feel welcome. We don't care what you ride, we don't care what your gender is. We want a place that is a safe haven and a place that people feel welcome.
Yeah, you did that.
I've met young men and some women. One example or one scenario was we had Kennedy and a couple of the high schools found us over time. And we had this one young man from Kennedy who, his dad beat the crap out of him one day. And unfortunately came from a disadvantaged home. He came to the bike shop, had sunglasses on, sat over on the corner of the bar, didn't really say much for a while, and when it finally got calm and there wasn't a lot of customers coming and asked what's going on, he took his glasses off and he had a black eye. And that's when it hit me that we created an area or a space that young people feel welcome. You know, the whole idea was to be a third place for everybody.
Yes.
But this young man didn't know where else to go, and he came to our shop.
Woo!
And Bolt and I had a good 45-hour-long conversation with him, and he still comes back. He's now working at Toyota.
Yeah.
He's got a great job on the line, and he comes in on a very regular basis. And that was my wake-up call that what we're doing isn't just about selling bikes. It's not about just servicing everybody. It's about trying to support the community in all
You're
aspects.
creating community, homie.
And that's more, to me, that's what it's more about than anything. I mean, money comes. But I want everybody that comes in to feel like this is their second place, their third place, and that they always feel welcome. But to get back to Alicia. So, when I met Alicia, she was managing the Blue Star properties. They had Joey's Inc., Joe Blues, Joey's, the Blue Star Bike Shop. Jimbo was working there. And I'm going through my treatment.
Yeah. Thank you.
And Joey comes up to me because I was showing up on a regular basis, and Joey was getting to the point where he's like, dude, you need to get a life. And he's like, come and work at the shop a couple hours, you know, 2 or 3 times a week for 4 hours. And so I started. I ended up hiring Baltazar. Jimbo basically was running the ship for, you know, God knows how many years. And we're alumni of Blue Star. And if you guys haven't supported Blue Star, please support Blue Star. They are the heart and soul of downtown. Walt and I, you know, fast forward a number of years, you know, ended up opening up Hub Market. But to get back to Alicia, when I met her, we were inseparable. She was the first woman I ever met in my life that wasn't a conquest. It wasn't the male ego or the testosterone trying to pursue her. I didn't know if I was going to be around in 3 years. And so our relationship grew to be the strongest friendship I think I've ever had in my life. It wasn't about sex. It was truly about a bond of somebody who shares a perspective of life and a joy for life that I had been missing. She showed me how to love again because I couldn't be loved. She showed me that faith wasn't just about religion. It was having faith in yourself and strength in yourself. So fast forward probably 8-9 months into our relationship, we would go, literally, we would close up shop, we would go for a ride, we would go all over town, to the rooftop parking lot, to the cat alleys around town, you name it, we were exploring everywhere, and she was showing me town. I remember sitting on the steps behind Blue Star. It was the first Friday. And yes, I was smoking a cigarette and sipping my bad vice. And she's got this look on her face, and I couldn't put two and two together. And I asked her, what's up? She's like, what are we doing? I'm like, I don't know, what do you mean? She's like, it feels like we're dating. I'm like, yeah, it does feel like we're dating. Everybody thinks we're dating. And I just kind of lit up and looked at her, like, leaned in. And I gave her a big kiss. I was like, okay, it's official. We're dating. And from then on, this woman has transformed my life in ways that I can't even explain. The fact that she picked me when I was at the lowest in my life, I'm the most grateful for. When I opened the bike shop, the idea was to create a hub for the riding community. And I am grateful for everybody that has supported us over the last 6 years. And thank you. I am grateful for everybody.
All right, we have one more wild card, and then we're going to do raffles, and then we have to wrap it up. It's kind of been a little long. The night has gone a little bit long. Josie, I'm super excited to hear about your magical donut.
Well, so I didn't anticipate doing this story, but listening to folks talk, I realized that I do have a story about bikes and their impact on my life. So we're going to start pretty low, like really sad. So when I'm not on my bike around San Antonio, I'm a photojournalist. And the hardest assignment I've ever had to do was covering the tragedy in Uvalde last year. It really brought me to a really awful, awful dark place. And it kept me off my bike. I wasn't moving, I wasn't doing the things that made me feel good and like myself. The same day that I was able to talk about my experience with professionals and talking about how we can do something to end gun violence in America, maybe through better storytelling. I went on a really wonderful bike day with somebody in Austin. And that day re-sparked my love of riding around my bike with no destination. Fast forward a couple months later, I was turning 26. I thought it'd be really, really fun to spend a weekend doing urban bike packing in Austin. So I hopped on a train very, very, very early in the morning with my bike. I didn't really look at the weather. Some of the bikepacking folks in here were so much more well prepared than I was. Didn't even have panniers. I just had a backpack, my fixed gear bike that has been with me on so many adventures, and I just went to Austin. I woke up, and the morning of my birthday, it was raining. And so I got ready, I left my friend's house, I was like, I'm going to go on an adventure. I was wearing gold sparkly pants, and they were soaked by the time I got to the coffee shop for breakfast. So also this weekend, I just kept running into people who had such a profound impact on my life. One of these people was named Michael, and I met Michael through a mutual friend at a sober bar. And at this point, I was still drinking, and I was like, cool, we're going to get a sober bar, we're going to try this out. And had a really cool connection with this dude who fucking loves bikes. And we started talking, I started learning about his own journey in sobriety, and I was like, really cool dude. I don't know if I'll see him again. And so weekend goes on, and I'm biking up this hill very early on the morning of my 26th birthday, and I'm soaked, and I get to the top, and I'm like, dang, all that I need is on my back, and all that I need are these two wheels to keep moving forward and up this hill. And so I was like, if I can make it up this hill and into my 26th year, I can do anything. So later that day, I made my obligatory stop. Before we had Voodoo Donut here, Voodoo Donut in Austin was my go-to, had to stop whenever I had time. And my favorite donut is of the mango tango, and it's mango filled, is the tang on top, and that was the most delicious donut I have ever had. After a day of biking, of being cold and wet, and no gears, and a heavy backpack, That donut was so delicious. Fast forward even more, I didn't stop riding my bike after that bike ride in Austin on my birthday. I kept going, and I also kept in contact with Michael, and I would go on to celebrate a couple days ago, 9 months of no alcohol, and Michael, the people around me, and my bike have brought me here. Literally, I parked my bike outside. And so yeah, just wanted to share that, like, getting on your bike and just like going with no point and just opening yourself to the people that you meet along the way is really, really cool, and I'm so glad to get to share my story about my favorite mango donut experience.
Let's do the rest of the raffles. Amazing raffles part 2, including this bike. I'm gonna go extra fast because we know we are overtime and we have like 6 raffle tickets to hand out, raffle prizes to hand out. Okay, first ticket is a gift card from Miguel from Fast Times, donating $30 gift card to a restaurant, surprise, and a Bone Tracker jersey. Number is 564145. You are the winner. I hope you're still here. Yes? All right. Next prize is from Libby. Thank you so much, Libby. 2 VIP passes to the Jazz SA Live show event festival. 564137. 564137. Again, thank you everyone for donating prizes in the back. All right, the next prize is the Chingona Race Productions Bigfoot Gravel Registration and Hub Market Bike Law. Thank you so much. 564151. You guys got your card? Yes, yes, all right. Oh! You won. Shoot, the Chingona Race Productions Bigfoot Gravel Hub Market Bike Lock. Prizes are in the back. Okay, next prize is the Chingona Race Productions Bigfoot Gravel Registration and another Bone Tracker jersey. 564119. 119. Yeah. Okay. One more before we do the bike. Chingona Bike Race Production, Medusa Trail Run, Level Up prizes. Thank you so much to Level Up and Chingona. 564147.
That's one of us.
You won? What?
Is it yellow or blue? Yellow.
It's yellow. 147.
Yeah!
Right. Prizes are in the back.
It's 100 miles.
This is it. This is. I don't know where the blue tickets. Oh, I don't know what
The blue
this
ones are inside. The blue ones are for inside.
Blue ticket.
I don't know too.
I have the blue ticket, so I can't call the blue tickets. You have the blue ticket?
Somebody inside the store has the.
Okay. One ticket? All right, 900150, blue ticket. 150. Oh my gosh! I think so. I think they're prize. Maybe in the back. Maybe in the back. Okay. I'm gonna mix it up really good. Does anyone want to pull out this ticket? All right, Billy.
All right. 564139. 139.
Oh my gosh, you won a bike. Oh, yeah. Thank you everyone for coming out tonight. Appreciate you.
Come on the bike, how am I going to carry that?
We're gonna figure that out for you before you leave. All right.
Hey, thanks so much, everyone, for coming. Once again, let's give it up for Valerie. Thank you so much. Hey, let me just tell you one thing. If you were here for the second time, I really hope that you join us for the third time because let me tell you, you're going to want to be here for the third time, okay? There's going to be some awesome things happening. That's because if you guys keep showing up because of our hard work doing something like this, a lot of you know, Cannibals, it's not so easy, but we do it because you guys are awesome. It's worth it. Make sure you guys follow Bike Story Night. Have a great night. Everybody get home safe. Oscar de la Tienda still. A great opportunity. So thank you all so much.